I'm Christy Johns from Australian Online News. Now let's cross to our regional areas. We're catching up with Di Sneddon today from the Hunter River Times. Hello Di, how is the weather down there in the beautiful Hunter region?
I'm well, thank you, Christy. Summer's certainly on its way. We've had about 31 degrees over the weekend and it's been warm again here through the week. So it certainly is, heating up, and we've had a big storm last night with lots of thunder and lightning. So Singleton and Muswellbrook and Scone are certainly getting the weather that they usually get this time of year.
The Singleton show has been cancelled, but you're going to keep the spirit alive. Tell me about that.
Yes, sadly the show was another COVID casualty, but it's such a big event in Singleton. We have about 200 people volunteer for that event alone, let alone the thousands of people that come and enjoy the exhibits and the attractions. So we didn't want it to go unnoticed. I mean, some of our volunteers spend the whole year getting ready for the show, let alone some of the entrants who, spend a year preparing their woodwork or their knitting or their embroidery. So we wanted to have a little mini show, just to sort of make sure that the event was remembered before the weekend passed us by. So through the week we've spoken to a heap of people that normally are regular entrants into the show. So we've had the woodworkers, as I said, and knitters and the cake bakers and people that have really loved entering the show. And we went around and visited them and, spoke to them about what they might have entered this year. And Betty Knight, who's a lovely lady with a magnificent garden, said her natives have never been more spectacular, and she thought she might have won every section this year had it gone ahead. So, we will have those stories in the upcoming edition of the Hunter River Times, and we're also planning on doing a little mini display in one of the shop fronts in Singleton that will allow people to come along and have a look at what might have been entered this year, and just to sort of say thank you really to all those volunteers and the efforts that go into presenting that show.
That sounds like an amazing initiative because all those people have put so much work into the Singleton show. What other stories can we look forward to in this week's edition?
Well, last Friday we had the huge privilege of attending the march out parade of some newly trained soldiers out at the Australian School of Infantry, which is based in Singleton. And it was a really poignant event and a huge thing for those 47, young soldiers who've just spent the last, 12 weeks in Kapuka and then 17 weeks in Singleton, just refining their skills so they can go out and be a member of the Defence Force. And interestingly, a lot of those soldiers will end up doing border protection, COVID operations, Task Force COVID, I think it's called, just to ensure people remain safe. And the commanding officer at the base, Lieutenant Colonel James Smith, mentioned that, that these soldiers are ready to do whatever the nation asks for them, and he's not ever sure what happens from, week to week, month to month, year to year, what that request will be, but that they are ever ready to perform that role. And the sense of pride that we should all have in those soldiers giving that life sacrifice really to commit to a career that, demands so much of them. And Lieutenant Colonel Smith took the opportunity to thank the soldiers, but also to thank the families and their friends who have also supported their career decisions. So we congratulate them all and wish them all the very best in their careers.
Thank you so much for your time, Di. To see those stories and more, please go to hunterrivertimes.com.au.